Welcome back to my little channel. Today I'm going to make a small video responding to Chrisiousity. She made a video, basically the name of the video was "Did Classical Liberals Cause Antifa?" It's a response to someone else, but in that video she makes one small mistake, in my humble opinion. And that's the mistake I'm going to address. Other than that, I don't really care about the infighting or the fighting between Chrisiousity and whomever else is in there. It's a response video to someone else. The thing that I am troubled with is the way she classified Antifa. Don't get me wrong, I will get to that because that's going to be the mainstay of my video. I am going to make this video in my E Pluribus Unum series because to me it is very important that we recognize what we are doing. At this point in time, we are creating division once more. And that division is hurting America. We might not agree with it, we might not think it's important, but e pluribus unum. Anyway, this little bit is what I'm going to respond to on Chrisiossity's videos. I hope it's clear. Oh, I have a link to the original video downstairs, so of course go and watch it, and so that you see I don't take anything out of context or whatever. I'm not willing to say she's wrong. I'm going to say she's wrong on this. Please recognize the difference.
Hello YouTube, Chrisiousity here. So I'm sure by now you've heard that social justice warriors caused the rise in white nationalist groups. And it must be true, because an entire group of people who pride themselves on skepticism and rationality say it is so unequivocally. Zero equivocation. And no rational skeptic worth their salt would ever make such a claim without exhaustive research, evaluating and ruling out other possible causes in a methodical fashion, checking and double-checking their own biases in order to filter out naive realism and motivated reasoning. So, for sure, you can take this oft-repeated claim right to the bank and cash it, baby. #legit. But this probably has you wondering if these unlikely suspects, the endlessly undefinable social justice warriors, are the cause of white nationalists. Well, then who caused Antifa? Now, the easy answer would be fascists. Anti-fascists would most obviously be a reaction to fascism. And if you're paying attention, there's plenty of reason to think that. But let's look at a recent video by Rez Please that promised to tell us the truth about Antifa and see if we can't either go deeper or just find an answer a little closer to our chosen narrative, one that gets us off the hook from having to evaluate ourselves and our own behavior, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm not going to use the rest of the video of Chrisiossity because, as I said, this video is her trying to respond to someone who responded to her, and I'm not part of that discussion, nor do I want to be part of the discussion. The part of the discussion I feel inclined to interject, because, well, may as well call it that, is what caused Antifa, and are social justice warriors and Antifa each other's equivalent? The short answer is this. Antifa, or Antifascistische Aktion, is created by the Communist Party of Weimar, Germany. They were not caused by fascism, they just named themselves anti-fascists because they got kicked out of Italy by the fascists, who were a response to the Bolshevik or communist movement in Italy. And are social justice warriors equivalent to Antifa? In a way, yes. Okay, so these are the short answers. I'm pretty sure you want to know a little bit more. So let's go into it, shall we? So let us start with Antifa, or Antifascistische Aktion. Antifa, or Antifascistische Fraktion, started in Weimar Republic, Germany, I think, let's say, between 1930 and 1932, 33, something like that, as a response to the growth of people fighting back. Before it was Antifa, Italy had its first major problems with communistic extremists. At the time we didn't call them communists, we called them Bolsheviks. And they disrupted normal life. They attacked people trying to do their job, they attacked law-abiding citizens, they tried to destroy war memorials. Basically, everything that wasn't communistic was a target. And because of that, a grassroots movement started in Italy to fight back. The thing is, the politicians supported the communistic or the Bolshevik movement. I wouldn't say that they would accept it, but they wouldn't stand up against it. It's kind of funny because we see this happening in America at this point in time too, where the police is getting told to stand down when Antifa moves around. But beside the point, I mean, remember it because history is in a loop, but this is what happened in Italy. And a grassroots movement stood up and fought back. This grassroots movement adopted the name fascism because fascism, more or less, was the idea that altogether we would be stronger. This is, by the way, the basis of E pluribus unum as well, and this used to be the great moving thought behind the Roman Empire. So it became normal for Italy to say, you know what, we're going back to our roots, and our roots are the Roman Empire. They kicked out the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks didn't like that, but they couldn't do much against it. There were Bolsheviks in Germany too, in the Weimar Republic. They stopped calling themselves Bolsheviks and they started calling themselves Communistic Party. This is okay, I mean, rename whatever you want. And they started organizing in the same way as the Bolsheviks did in Italy. They had fighting groups, so to speak, communist paramilitary and propaganda organizations like Rote Frontkampfverbund und Reichsbanner. These fought against basically everything. What happened in Italy happened in Germany. They attacked war memorials, and remember, Germany just had a terrible part in the First World War. Basically, they got shafted, they got pulled into the war, and though they didn't really lose, they were created as the loser. So a lot of Germans felt uneasy about communists attacking their history, a history that there was ill will over anyway. So the few memorials of the soldiers they had, they held in high regards. So communists attacked those. Nazis defended those. And here lies the big problem between Antifa and the Nazis. This is when the fight started. But they called themselves anti-fascistic action because they recognized that their first enemy were the fascists in Italy. But the Nazis weren't fascists, they were Nazis. That doesn't matter though, because we would still call them fascists, because otherwise people don't understand what we're on about. The tactics they used then, in Weimar Republic Germany, were the same as they used in Italy. And here comes the kicker. They are the same that are being used in America at this point in time. They are the same as they used in Hamburg. They are the same that they use when the G20 meets or when the Bilderberg group meets. They are an activist, revolutionary army for communism. Now, most of the members of Antifa don't really recognize this. They don't really understand what they stand for. But they are standing for the rights of a communistic and equal society for everyone who agrees with them. The kind of funny thing is that the original Antifascistische Aktion had a symbol which were two red flags. Later, it turned into one red flag and one black flag, the symbol we are seeing now. So if there's anything we can say about Antifa is that it comes back from communistic thinking or Marxistic thinking, and now to look at social justice warriors. Where do they hold their ideas from? Where we can clearly see history coming together with Antifa and the Communist Party and the way that they continue onwards, so to speak, it is a little bit more difficult to see the same thing happening with the social justice warriors. So I would like to address something that a lot of people don't even really know about. And that's the Frankfurt School of Thought, which is a philosophy school or think tank. And it's based on Marxism. So why is that important? Well, Marxism is the mother and father of communism. And the whole goal of Marxism and sociology, no, not sociology, socialism, is to reach communism. Germany recognized this problem and they expelled professionals of the Frankfurt School of Thought because, well, they were a problem. They were inciting violence against the state. And most of these expelled professors and thinkers went to America, where they propagated their school of thought, where their way of thinking became normalized. Now, is this a big deal? No, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The thing is that they managed to get the whole of academia, almost the whole of academia, to think like them. There's a reason why we nowadays say that left is the only professor. There aren't very many right-wing professors out there. This is because of how the professors that came from Germany started shaping their schools and started shaping the American schools. It has been a long trajectory, don't get me wrong, and it didn't start with the social justice warriors. I mean, there have been other movements which basically prove that point as well. The feminist movement is heavily tied to the Frankfurt School of Thought and neo-Marxism. And so are, unfortunately, our social justice warriors. The problem with social justice warriors isn't that they're idiots or that they're wrong or blah, 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 blah. The problem is that they're useful idiots and that they don't recognize that they're wrong. And they're not really wrong per se. It's not that what they want is negative. The way they want it is negative. The way to gain power in a Marxistic, communistic society is to step on others. And this is what social justice warriors do. They don't talk, they demand. And this is what Antifa does. Antifa claims to be against fascists because everyone in their eyes is a fascist. But they don't talk to fascists because there's no need in talking. They are, unfortunately, from the same philosophy. Now, Antifa might be seeming to be willing to use violence more than social justice warriors, but not that much, to be honest. The extreme growth in Antifa is because of the social justice warrior movement. And don't get me wrong, but punch a Nazi is okay because he's a Nazi. Never mind who we call a Nazi, because everyone is a Nazi that disagrees with us. I'm sorry, but if you are a social justice warrior and you're okay with hitting people, then you're no longer right. As John Lennon sang in one of the songs of the Beatles, when you start talking about destruction, don't you know you can count me out? And this is the problem with cultural Marxism. They don't have ideas to discuss or debate. They are totalitarian. And they have to be, because if they're not, people recognize the flaws. This is why most feminists, most social justice warriors, and most Antifa members will not debate you. Because when you can prove them wrong, it will shatter their worldview. And they recognize this. Anyway, I'm getting slightly sidetracked. Social justice warriors and Antifa come from the same source. Are they therefore linked? Yes. Okay, so now we've answered two questions. The third question, more or less the first question, but the third question, I'm going to use it. Did Antifa create right-wing extremists, neo-Nazis and white supremacists? Well, I won't say they created them, because that's unfair. There's always been idiots out there. But the thing is, if you create a black and white situation, people only have two choices, black or white. Now, what you might consider black, some other might consider white. What some other might consider white, you might not. But what you are doing is you're creating a dichotomy. You're either with us or against us. And you will find that a lot of people will support you in your goal. Therefore, antifa grows. But you will also find a lot of people are against you. Therefore, white supremacy grows. If you then add the rather totalitarian way of pronouncing that if you're not with us, you're against us, suddenly everyone who's against you becomes a white supremacist. There have been black people out there that have been called white supremacists, or people, Latinos, for example, all because it fits their narrative. It doesn't fit their narrative to discuss. So, did Antifa cause white supremacy? In a way, not completely, but they made it worse. They made it a lot worse. Don't forget, the KKK was hardly non-existent in the last, let's say, 40 years. They don't stand up. They don't have big rallies anymore. Nobody cares about them anymore. And now suddenly we're all talking about the KKK again. Are you really unable to see the cause and the correlation between these? And I understand correlation does not mean causation, but in this case, there is a reason why I started with the word cause. Because this is being caused by Antifa. This is being caused by social justice warriors overextending themselves. Everything they want needs to be given to them, and if it doesn't, the world needs to burn. The problem with this is, and why I felt it's a good way to put in my E Pluribus Unum series, division creates smaller groups standing against each other. Fascism, whether you like it or not, is based on all together for the state. America was based on all together for the society. We cannot deal with these divisionary forces within ourselves. So the social justice warriors and Antifa are actually a threat to our society. Are white supremacists a threat to our society? Well, yes, but they are far, far fewer in number. They don't get heard as much. When do we start hearing more about them? When they have actually reasons to start talking more. I hate white supremacy, don't get me wrong. I'm a cultural, well, relativist. I don't know what you would call it. I care about Western culture. And within Western culture, we have black people. They are part of our culture. I demand that we have room for them too. As I expect they demand there is room for me too. And I don't mind people being white supremacists. I mean, I'm sorry, you don't have to marry someone of another ethnicity than yours. I don't care. But you do not tell me how to live my life. And they don't. Antifa does. Social justice warriors do. These are the problems of our society. These are the main reasons for division. Did Antifa cause this? Yes. Did social justice warriors cause this? Yes. These are our main problems. We need to be able to start talking with each other once again, whether we agree or not. Because the end goal should not be bring down whatever we want to bring down, but build up whatever needs being built up. Anyway, criticism as usual is more than welcome. I love to hear back from you. If you disagree with me, please tell me why. You might be right. You might give me a new insight. Anyway, like, share and subscribe if you feel so inclined. And I will hope to see you all next time.